chaps.
Thank you.
Before we kick into it, I'd love you, we can see your name and title, but I would love you, without any preparation, to tell me what it is you actually do. Andy, what do you do?
I'm trying to fix all the things on those charts at the moment. So, yeah, I'm Andy Ford. I head up measurement for Coles 360. So my role covers a few things, which is building out a measurement roadmap for all the products that we need to build to help people invest with us confidently, as well as building out other services around measurement consultancy and also data audience type products as well as we evolve. So quite broad. Fortunately, a lot of the things that you have called out as areas of opportunity are on our roadmap, and I'll chat through a bit more about that. But brilliant. I'm actually very impressed, Gay, that you were able to get a building big enough for the entire Retail Media Council.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alistair Leithwood. I look after analytics and media for Sakana. So you might know Sakana. We used to be called IRI. We do the sales measurement bit. So we kind of collate. Oh, our battery's running low. We kind of collate and synthesize and make sense of a whole bunch of the sales data that comes from the supermarkets, from pharmacy, everybody else, and make sense of who's buying what.
Fantastic. Raf?
Good morning. What do I do is probably the hardest question of the day. But I'm Raf Hodes. I'm the retail media lead at Google AUNZ. So my role is mostly focused on partnering with retailers, with agencies, with brands, with tech partners to build out the offerings and to ensure that the whole industry, the whole retail media ecosystem is getting the best out of Google's media in their strategies, and then working through the technology solutions, the measurement solutions, and everything from there to bring the best of Google to retail media.
Brilliant. All right. So, Alistair, I'm going to start with you because you've got the big perspective here. So we've heard from brands and agencies what they want, which is everything. I'd love, you've been sort of deep in this, trying to understand why you think there is a mismatch between desires and deliverables, and how you think about that, what should be measured and what are the barriers there?
It's a great question. I really like it. So the reason why I think there's a mismatch between what everybody wants and what we can deliver as an industry is because it's really hard, is the short answer. Because it sounds like it should be easy, right? It sounds like we should know everything. We should know who's seen what, where, when, for how long, and all that. It's all perfectly digital, sensible information, and we should be able to tie that to who bought what. But for a bunch of perfectly sensible reasons, some of them technical, it's hard to make all the data line up. Some of it commercial and legislative and legal, so we can't join all of this stuff up, and we probably shouldn't. And some of it's just philosophical. Some of it's hard to know. You're probably influenced by 10, 15 channels before you bought the thing that you bought. How do we ascribe and attribute meaning to each of those different elements that you were influenced by? So it is hard. I think we're making quite a lot of progress. I think we're getting there. The closed loop nature of retail media by its very essence means that we can get closer to it. If you can tell me who saw what, I can tell you who bought what, and together we can figure out whether that's what made the difference. And that's kind of the trick.
Okay. Andy, back to you, and you hinted that you're working on all these things. So the list is not insignificant. If we look at the metrics and the requirements, how do you're a local retailer, media company, how do you prioritise what you work on and what you build?
Yeah, everyone says it's a good question because they've had the question before, but that is a good question. And I'm just looking at Al's notes saying send IAB report around.
It's a bloody good question, though.
It is genuinely a good question. And I had to write some notes on it, so apologies if I do delve into them. So we obviously cover a very large array of advertisers/suppliers in our world, and from the top end of town, multinational companies where they have measurement experts, all the way through to people where their role is just like, retail media is just like 20% of their role or something like that, who do not need to have measurement expertise, just need to know enough information to know that things are working. So we have to think about the full spectrum when we do that. which is challenging. And which do you prioritise? When do you prioritise it? All those kind of things are things I'm constantly either debating, getting wrong, sometimes successful with. So I guess I'd split it into two areas really. So the products that we build, the measurement products, and then the way that we get them into people's hands is probably the other area as well. So in terms of the products, what we've been doing, well, actually, I think I've said this before, but what's great about retail media is also what's really bloody hard from a measurement point of view, and that is omni-channel. So people talk about how it's wonderful. I personally don't like it because I've got digital, I've got physical, I've got owned assets, I've got walled gardens, and I have to come up with solutions that cover all of them somehow to answer a question according to what channels people buy from us. So whilst we offer a lot of choice, and it's great, it is a bit more challenging. So what we've been doing behind the background is building out a roadmap of essentially the measurement products we either have built, going to build, etc. And the way I think about this is a grid. So there's a grid of all the channels we have, or the combinations of channels we have, and pretty much a sort of across the top there's a basic, better, best in terms of the products that we need to do. So from a basic point of view, we could be looking at pre-post type methodologies. That's enough in certain situations. Does scale across channels, can be automated, etc. And from a best point of view, looking at more incremental techniques. So that's what we're trying to do, and we've got to, just to sort of drill down on certain situations. If I look at Coles online or if I look at Coles in store, we have some great incremental techniques in the best box already ticked, and that's been working with Sakana and building those out. We are currently fully automating our basic across channel as well, but we've got a few other gaps which we're filling out as we go, and whether we build them in-house or whether we partner is things that we're working out at the moment. So it's a good roadmap. Which one you fill in first is a bit of a debate, but we're trying to answer trying to make it as useful as possible for the majority of our advertisers. And then if I continue to hog the mic, the other area is just getting it into people's hands, right? So it's all very well saying, I've got all these things, but if people don't use them, then that's a bit of a challenge. So behind that, we've been building out the logic and doing all the feasibility studies to work out which types of measurements suit which type of media channel and investment levels as well, because that's important. There's no point running an incremental test if it never stood a chance of getting a result. So we're trying to make sure that we've got the logic to then assign a piece of measurement, the right piece of measurement to it. We've also been building out a team of, they call themselves marketing scientists. I asked them not to call themselves that, but they've claimed that that's their name.
What would you like to call them?
Oh, anything else, but fine.
Nerds.
Yeah, basically. But that's, for people that want more bespoke, tailored measurement plans, we need to show up with some human beings who can actually explain that. So we've been investing there. And then the other area we'll be thinking about is a little bit more thought leadership in the coming months and year ahead as well about what we think good retail media measurement is.
And when you talk about getting stuff into people's hands, is this suppliers? Are there agencies in the mix as well? And is it the same requirement?
The majority of our investment will come from trade at the moment. So it is. So there's a little bit of an education job there as well with these things. So you can't just give them a result and expect them to understand the methodology. You have to go through it. But increasingly, the agencies are playing a bigger role, and they're a lot more savvy in terms of quickly understanding these results. So it's shifting. The majority is still spent with talking to the trade teams at the moment.
Right. Raf, I'd love you to go through Google's approach to baking in measurement into retail media. You do measurement for everything else. Is it different? Is it the same? What's the go?
Great question. So you kind of hit it there. So Google does a lot of things for a lot of people across our business. So I think just to set the context here, let's be really clear about the role that we're playing, and that's around off-network. And we saw just in the research before, 16% year-on-year growth in terms of using retailer data to expand into off-network. And globally, we're seeing those numbers even higher. So we believe, and I would say that our retail partners and our brands believe, that Google has a really important and exciting role to play in that retail media space as we build into full funnel and all those interesting opportunities. But it makes measurement really bloody hard, as these gentlemen have said. There is no simple answer to solving all of that. But we're definitely giving it a fair crack. So the way we think about it, broadly speaking, as in anything in these things, it's got to be buckets of three. So we'll start with platforms and products. So we have taken the decision and invested a huge amount of engineering resource into making these measurement capabilities into the products that our customers, that our advertisers, our retail partners, our agencies are already using. So things like Search Ads 360, DV360, Google Ads. These are the platforms that agencies know and use and have used since the birth of digital marketing. And all of the requirements that we've heard over the last several years, why can't we do SKU level measurement, and why can't we do incrementality, and when's it going to be granular at this level? We're building that into the platforms to make it easier, to make it simple. If you're a retail media buyer at the moment, you're getting 25 different reports, 7 different platforms you're going to have to learn and then click around, and this person knows this one, someone else knows that one. So we're very much focused on building the platforms in a way that they can make it simple and easy to measure what matters to retail media buyers, whether that's all the way at the bottom of the funnel, so SKU level, omni-channel attribution, or all the way to the top of the funnel, brand lift, and some things that are quite unique to Google, things like search lift and impact on search, which obviously has a key role to play as well. So that's the first piece. The second piece is all around partnership, though, and the key points I would make there, and it's perhaps obvious but worth saying again, is that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Every retailer, every brand, every agency is going to have a separate objective and a separate approach. And so as Google, kind of in between those layers, we take the approach of working with the retailer and the brand and saying, what is the measurement objective? What data do you have? What data do we have? What do your clients want to achieve? And how can we bring that to life using the platforms that we've built, but also whether it's through people or consultative stuff or thought leadership or unique data or anything like that, to make sure that the measurement offering is actually aligned to the objective of the brand. And that's the only way we're going to see the growth here, is if we're choosing the right measurement option for the media that we're buying. Obviously that lives within, that's a Google perspective, but it applies to the entire retail media buyer throughout the whole funnel. And then the final piece I'll say, and anyone who's playing buzzword bingo, get your pens ready, just because we have made it almost 15 minutes without saying AI, so I'm going to say AI. Trust the Google guy to say AI. There it is, bingo. So what do we mean by that? Obviously, we can throw around AI all the time, be like, it'll solve everything. It's not going to solve everything, but it does have a really unique role to play here when it comes to measurement. We know privacy is still an issue. We know legislation is somewhat uncertain, and we know that AI, in terms of modeling, in terms of predictive analytics, and in terms of data integration, is going to be really, really, really important. And so at Google, we want to bring that AI into our products and platforms again, make sure that we have the right data, that we're working with our retailers to bring that data into the right place, to let the AI do its thing. And I think philosophically, as we go through the next few years, to not just, I don't know if measurement will always be an evolving thing, but to get to a place where we accept and are aligned and feel comfortable and confident about the value and measuring retail media, AI will have a key role to play there. So we're thinking that through everything that we do in our platforms and products.
Great. And presumably the AI, like it's similar across all your channels, how you're thinking about using that to assess investment, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In everything, all from ads and beyond, it is really AI first.
One thing we're really good in digital media is getting the wrong metrics to optimise against. We're still trying to kill the click-through rate after 20 years of it being used incorrectly. How do we avoid this in retail media, where at the beginning we've got the chance to go, here's what people should be optimising against? Who'd like to jump in terms of how do we avoid these mistakes and what should people be optimising towards? Go on, Andy.
You haven't spoken in ages.
Okay.
Always a dangerous thing to do. Well, you'd expect me to say this as the guy who has all the sales. I think we should be focusing on sales. So, look, I think that we should be thinking about what it is that the client, that the advertiser, that the agency cares about. And I think at the end of the day, what that entity cares about is profit and sales, and not just at a very base level, but not all sales are equal. So can you bring new customers into the category? Can you bring new people? Can you do incrementality? And I think it probably has a foundation there. And then what are the elements that draw into that, right? And how do you get there? What is the pathway? What are the clicks and the views and everything else? But it's got to start with the business benefit.
Yeah, okay. And are you seeing people, because there's, to your point, sales can mean lots of different things. It's, new to category, new to brand, new to... Are people thinking, like the clients that you're working with, you know, probably Andy's obviously brilliant and thinking the right way about everything, but
Andy is brilliant.
Are they doing that? Are they actually thinking beyond, you know, because you could easily optimise to sales and it's your same people that you're getting to.
So I think people are aspiring is probably the word. I think they would like to do that. And there's a bunch of things that we've been talking about in this industry for decades, right? About incrementality, about new customers, about lifetime customer value, which I think for the first time we've got a decent shot at being able to answer. I'm not promising it right now, but I'm saying that we can get somewhere close to that. And as I say, you know, a new customer into the category that then becomes, you know, a loyal buyer in that category. Chloe with her full set of climbing up Everest gear, right? That's a better sale than somebody who's already in the category, has got 15 pairs of boots and doesn't need any more. So, you know, I think we can start to measure that.
Awesome. Raf, what about you?
So I think what's interesting to observe is we're in this, you know, not new, but new-ish retail media space, and we've got this mix between media people and trade marketing people, and everyone brings their own historical, this is what we should measure, this is what we've always measured, which is often where we get to that issue of measuring the wrong thing. So I totally agree with Al's point that it needs to start with what is the objective we're trying to solve for. The research said it there, you know, we want to drive sales. That's great, but as you said, Gabe, what does that really mean? What kind of sales do you want, and what are the things that are going to drive those sales? Like, we all work in marketing, advertising, like, yeah, sales is what we want to do, but there needs to be a bit more nuance than that, and I think that nuance needs to extend beyond just defining the sales, but also what are the things that contribute to those sales in terms of customer behavior a little bit further up the funnel. You know, if we want to talk about retail media as a full funnel capability moving forward, then we need to move away from everything being measured on last click, 24-hour sales attribution.
Move away from last click from Google?
Plead the fifth.
Oh, it's all kicking off. Hang on.
Okay. There's the headline for the trade press. Yeah.
Easy, fellas. We want a drink.
So I think, because just going back to that point around, you know, horses for courses, you know, what is the objective? What is the right way to think about a full funnel approach? And then how do we bring the right pieces together? So again, it might be sales management, like I mentioned before, like we're building a lot of that closed loop attribution, like, you know, sales driven measurement into our platforms. But we're also really thinking about what are the other behaviors that we can influence with retail media, whether it's search behavior, brand lift, you know, video consumption, all these other things that are really going to kind of establish retail media, not just as a line item on a media plan or just traditional media with like some nice data and some nice measurement, but actually a really unique proposition for a brand as part of their retail partnership. So I think that's where we need to go, but it starts with getting clear on what are we solving for at the outset.
Andy, I'm going to frame it in your way. What's your least favourite metric? That feels like an Andy Ford way of phrasing it. What do you hate? What really peeves you?
I mean, firstly, sorry, Raf, I shouldn't have interrupted you there. I couldn't resist. I spent way too long slagging off last click. So, look, I guess right now the danger is everyone's going down what's easy to work out. And so everyone wants new customers, everyone wants to look at the longer term incremental of a campaign, not lifetime value necessarily, but like what was the after effect of it. But they're a bit harder to work out, and so people are slipping into this sort of short-term ROAS thing, this like some sales, badly measured uplift divided into cost, that kind of stuff, over a 2-week campaign, and just saying, oh, the ROAS was this. And you're like, well, if you aspire, if you say this is about new customers, if you say this is about repeat customers, if you say all these things, why are you just looking at a 2-week period of sales? So I think there's an aspiration, I think I was saying there, and the research pointed that out, but I think people are easily going to what's... And it makes sense, right? It's easy to work out a ROAS and then start comparing it with other things. So I think people have got to probably live up to what they're aspiring to be and push a bit harder.
Okay, so that leads me on to my next question, because this sounds hard even for the biggest brands. We've got a lot of people in the audience today who are smaller brands, who are looking at getting into the space. Are the solutions that we're talking about suitable for... people of, you know, brands of all sizes? What are the barriers there for smaller brands to get involved?
Is that me? I guess I did talk about the spectrum of suppliers that I work with. So, yeah, look, I guess the more sophisticated incremental, those kind of things, or even regression, MMM, all that stuff, are going to be targeted towards the people with bigger campaigns, longer time periods, which obviously correlates highly with higher investment levels. So yeah, they are. and will be the case. But I don't think that means that you can't get use out of the measurement that's available and the stuff I was talking about with that basic, better, best. You know, if you actually look at the things, you look at the pros and cons of each. This is not new news to anyone. If you actually understand what they're good at and what they're not good at, you can build out a pretty useful toolkit to answer the questions you want. So if you are a smaller advertiser and you're not doing a lot of promotional work and you're not on TV, then a pre-post isn't bad. It's a pretty good indication that you're doing all right, or maybe some changes are needed. So there's just having that in your back, but even attribution to some degree, you know, it's a good creative optimization, it's a good learning immediately. So knowing those things enables you to get a view on it, and then having that toolkit that brings it all together to answer those questions means you can get by with what is available and is good enough for what you need. You don't have to be aspiring for everything must be a lift test, everything must be done through an MMM. You can get a lot of value out of what's available.
All right, we're running out of time, so we can get to a quick fire round. For each of you, best improvement over the last 12 months in retail media measurement, and then the biggest shift you're expecting in the next 12 months. Succinctly. Raf.
I think it's been really good to see the evolution of data integrations. I know there's a long way to go, but we have seen that increase a lot, and obviously lots of partners that we work with are leaning in, and you see that in our products as well in terms of what we can do with first-party data to really bring all these different types of measurement to life. So that's been really positive. Looking forward, you know, perhaps a little bit aspirational. I'd love to get to a place where we're not talking about the foundations of measurement anymore. We can get agreement on, you know, what ROAS means, and, you know, we can be clear on the different attribution windows between different platforms, that kind of thing, so that we can really lean into actually measuring outcomes and measuring impact. So the conversation becomes, what is the role of retail media? How can we get more out of it, rather than arguing over, do we trust it, and is it really delivering the outcomes that we thought? So that's my hope, but I think as we move forward with the foundations, both in data and with things like AI and the kind of growth of the people in the industry, I think we will get there over the next little while.
Great. Al.
It's been an exciting 12 months last year. We've made some progress on some of those really thorny issues that your survey spoke about, and we've all spoken about. So working with partners like Coles, we've got a hang of, you know, multi-channel lift to figure out what does what where. We've got a hang of things like synthetic or no control lift, so a bit technical, but making things a lot easier to do with having to do incredibly complicated setup. And we've even started to get a sense of more holistic views of progress, which is both, you know, full funnel brand stuff as well as performance. So it's looking really promising.
Great.
I guess in the last 12 months, it's just good to see the platforms, Google's, Facebook's, Meta's, create products that we can actually use with privacy, with, you know, with the audiences and the measurement we need. I think it was probably a bit hacky before that. So that's been good. I think going forward, I think we haven't done it as much as we should have. I think probably synthetic data and synthetic controls will be a big push for the next year on how we scale this these incremental techniques.
Brilliant. Please thank the panel.